All right, so let's talk about how to cite websites. So let's go over the proper format. You're going to start with the last name and the first initial of the author, followed by the date of publication in parentheses. Then you have the title of the web page in italics, followed by the name of the site, and then the URL with no period at the end. And you don't have to put date retrieved by. That's only necessary if you're citing from something like a Wikipedia page or an open educational resource that you think will change very frequently. And then just keep in mind that you're going to double space in between each line, and then the second line is going to be indented. Okay, so let's take a look at an example. So here is the story that I mentioned in a previous video, the story behind the Friends theme song. So the first bit of information that we need is the author, and you'll see there's actually 3 authors here. So it doesn't actually say written by or published by, but it does say BuzzFeed News Reporter. So we'll just go ahead and assume that's the author. Sometimes you're going to have to make an assumption. Next thing that we need is the date it was published, and that's actually quite conveniently posted at the top, September 21st, 2014. Sometimes it'll say last updated or published on. Sometimes this information is going to be on the bottom. Next, we need the title of the web page, and that's going to be here. The amazing story behind I'll Be There For You, according to the Rembrandts. It's kind of a long title, so you might be tempted to shorten it. Please don't do that. APA asks us to copy and paste the full title. And then keep in mind the capitalization for the actual citation is going to be different from how it is here. For APA, you're only going to be capitalizing the first letter and then any proper nouns like Rembrandts, which is the name of the band. Next, you're going to need the name of the website. So it's going to be BuzzFeed News. Again, you might be tempted to just put BuzzFeed, but another APA rule is to cite the most specific agency. So BuzzFeed News is a smaller part of, the BuzzFeed.com family. So it would be more helpful to whoever's trying to find your citation to put BuzzFeed News. So that's what we're going to do. And then last but not least, we're just going to copy and paste the URL. All right, so let's take all that information and put it together. So here we have the 3 authors. We have last name, first initial, and then an ampersand between the second and third author. Then we have year, month, day of publication in parentheses. And then the title is in italics. And as you'll see, I capitalized the first letter, and then I capitalized the Rembrandts because the name of the band is the Rembrandts, not Rembrandts. And then BuzzFeed News, not italicized. And then there's the full URL with everything, https://www. So just to review, here's the format, here's the final citation example, and then this is what the in-text example would look like if you're curious. If you're citing something in the body of your paper, you just need the author and then the year of publication. Obviously, there's no page numbers with websites, so you would just leave that part out. All right, so that example was pretty easy because we had all the information we needed. Let's look at a different example where we're missing a lot of information. So here is the About the Museum page for the museum at FIT. And the first thing that you'll notice is that there is no author anywhere. So in this case, when there's no individual author that we can see, we would usually put the institution or the organization. So we're going to use the museum at FIT as the author. Next, we need a date of publication, but that also does not appear anywhere. I don't see any date. The copyright date in the footer is generally not a good idea because this is usually something that goes across the whole website. It's not necessarily specific to this page. So we're just going to leave that out. And the way that we do that is we're going to put ND for no date. Next, the title of the web page. That's pretty easy actually. We're just going to go ahead and use About the Museum. And then the title of the website is the same, the museum at FIT. And then last but not least, the URL is pretty easy. We're just going to copy and paste this. All right, so let's take all that information and put it all together. So museum at FIT is the author. ND, no date. About the museum is the name of the web page. And then you'll notice I actually am leaving out the name of the site, Museum at FIT, because it's exactly the same as the author. And when that happens, you don't have to put both of them. You can generally just leave the author information there up at the front. which makes it easier to alphabetize this in your list of resources. And then there is the URL. So here's an example of how you would do an in-text citation for that. You would just put the name of the author, or in this case, the group, corporate, author. If you wanted to get more specific with an in-text citation for a website, again, there's no page numbers, but what you could do is you could count the paragraphs on that page, and then you could cite the paragraph number that your information appears in. So here's an example of how that would look. You have para, the abbreviation for paragraph, 1.